Thank you for staying with us. We'll now begin the program in earnest by looking at developments in the petroleum sector. Nigeria is a big producer of crude oil. Well, maybe some say we're the 6th largest producer, some say we're the 12th largest producer, but we are one of the world's largest producers of crude oil. And yet we're still battling with petrol and kerosene. We can't seem to find the product to buy. And we have been talking now for years that it'll do us no good exporting our crude and importing fuel products. But what is being done about that? As far as we can see, not much.
But they'll tell you that they're doing quite a number of things. They're also looking at building refineries. Hello.
We've been looking at, I mean, crude oil was found in Nigeria in the 50s. So how come
there we have
50 years on, we still can't actually sort out how to deal with that product?
We know how to do it.
Anyway, we have people in the studio who probably answer all these questions for us, because we have plenty of questions. And in the course of the week, of course, resulting from the Minister of State's announcement regarding the unbundling / restructuring of the NMPC, Pengasan, which is the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, and NUPENG, the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, called out a strike on Wednesday, which made worse our plight of not having any fuel at filling stations. But thankfully, the very next day, the strike was called off, even though that call-off hasn't really affected availability of the product.
They'll say it will take a few days.
Okay, we're waiting. Now, to look at the petroleum sector with us this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome the former Assistant Secretary, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, Southwest Zone, Mr. Toba Shinkaye. Good morning.
Good morning.
Also in the studio is Mr. Olufemi Shotunde of the Association of Modular Refineries of Nigeria. Good morning.
Good morning.
And joining us from our studios in Abuja is Henry Adigun, an oil governance consultant. Good morning, Henry.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Now let me begin with IPMAN. The Minister of State announced in the course of the week that NMPC was going to be unbundled, restructured, whatever word you decide to use. What does this mean to you?
Well,
you as in IPMAN.
yes, for now I don't think it means anything to us as that. I mean, because our own is product. We are
downstream.
Yeah, downstream. We are the retail outlets owners, with close to 10,000 outlets all over the country.
Okay.
Whether you unbundle, you restructure, the final result that is affect us is what concerns us.
So you are still importing your fuel and you're still selling them through your filling stations?
We don't import.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't import.
Okay, all right.
So you get off the government or whoever.
We get off, because as at today, NNPC has taken responsibility to do 80% importation of the product.
Okay.
20% for private people.
So you get from NMPC
and
you get from
private people.
Moman.
Yes.
Okay.
Moman or Darkman, where available.
Okay.
So
let me ask Mr. Shotunde the same question. What does the minister's announcement mean to you?
A lot of things. I think it's just another way of trying to improve efficiency in the system and to make people accountable for their responsibilities. Prior to now, most times you have some leakages and wastages along the value chain of supply of petroleum products. But I think with the new unbundling, so to say, I think it will improve efficiency in the system, and probably in the mid-term, long-term, we could see the result or the essence of this restructuring. But it can't be an immediate impact. There can't be any immediate impact.
If you say that it's going to improve efficiency, how come people are kicking against it?
I think there was more like misunderstanding between the federal government and probably the process in ensuring that you do a restructuring.
Okay.
I guess
it's not the restructuring that's the problem. It's the way he went about it.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying. Okay. All right. Let me ask Mr. Adigun the same question. You are an oil governance consultant. What do you think about this restructuring? Do you agree with Mr. Shotunde here that it's not the restructuring that is the issue, but the way that the Minister of State went about it?
My thinking it is neither. It's neither the issue or the manner he went about it. There's an historical perspective about this matter. The GMD came into office about 6 months ago, and then you have a situation where you have a loss-making institution. You've been making losses of 35 billion, 25 billion, and thereabouts for the past many months. You have an NNPC that, in real terms, can be said to be insolvent. You have an NNPC owing billions of dollars on joint ventures, owing money to contractors, and similarly inefficient. Then you take a step backwards and say, well, let's make this a productive venture. How do we get NNPC to do what it ought to do and make profit for the country? I think Nigerians must realize that NNPC belongs to everybody here, and it's the biggest cash cow for all of us. So I think what happened was the MD trying to make sense of what he met under laws that were not updated to give him the power to do what he needed to do. So the word unbundling, restructuring caused some confusion. You can't unbundle because you don't have the regulatory framework in the PIB or in the laws existing to do that. But you can restructure for efficiency. You can make sure that every part of NNPC becomes profit-making and give a chance to people who are employed in the industry to do well and provide them a ground to effectively perform to make NNPC great again. So my simple take is this. There was some lack of communication between the sector and the sector workers. And I think this is natural. Whenever you have a disruption in the system, these things happen.
But it's been said times without number that the operations of the NNPC are too opaque. They don't print their accounts. Nobody knows what is going on there. And it looks like this is going to make that happen. So shouldn't we all be embracing this, even though some say that the move is illegal?
It depends on how you interpret a situation. NNPC workers are as much victims as they are part of the problem. So when last did you see NNPC advertise for positions in the industry? When last did you see recruitment advertisement for job skills and other things? So there's that issue of the NNPC staff again thinking, where are you taking us? Where are we going to? They are very qualified people in NNPC. NNPC has one of the best hands around the industry. Some of them have not been effectively used, not through their fault, because the structure doesn't allow them to do what they need to do. Again, you have a GMD who needs to prove efficiency. So when you have this kind of situations, you have a challenge of balance. So somebody understands the message this way, and somebody is saying this is what I'm saying. So this kind of things happen. But what is important is that to be managed. I think one day strike happened. I think there'll be better communication. I think we'll look at 8 months down the line before we can actually judge whether they know what they're doing or whether this will bring any result to the country.
Mr. Adigun, staying with you, you said something about the NNPC staff being as much victims as well as culprits. Can you break that down a little bit more when you say they're the best hands in the oil sector and the NNPC, and some of them have not been utilized as much as they should be?
From the outside, NNPC has about 30 or more subsidiaries. I'm not certain about that. Now imagine a corporation that has doctors, engineers, estate professionals, chemical engineers, and other things who haven't been given tools to perform or given the space to perform. So imagine I have an uncle who is a GM in NNPC, and he hires me, and I'm a qualified engineer. And I get to NNPC, NNPC transfers me and puts me in properties. If I'm in properties, what can I do, not having understanding of what should be done? So I've been employed, I have the skills, but I haven't given the chance to deploy my skills. So I'm a victim of a corporation not properly structured. Now the other part of it is, again, is you have a union. A union exists to protect its staff. That's the basic function of a union. Now staff are there and they're looking at something happening. When you create efficiency in the system, there will be job loss on some time. You can't create a situation where you give somebody powers of being a head of a corporation and not give him the power to hire and fire. So if I take over, say for instance, Ventures, and Ventures has about 100 staff, and I need only 30 or 35. I'm the new CEO. I look at what I should do. Do I have the right skills? Do I have the right people? Do I have the right numbers? Then I balance. So NNPC staff understand this as well. So I think what everybody has been given is a fair chance to prove themselves. What NNPC should do is do a skill audit. What skills exist that they have right now? What skills do they need? And where are skill shortages? Where can they push people to? So for instance, take NPDC. Sanusi made an issue when he was talking about the 20 billion or no issue. He said NPDC, from his perspective, had a better way of managing assets than the corporation he gave it to. Now, NPDC might be short-staffed. NPDC might need more hands. NPDC might be able to move from 70,000 barrels to 200,000 barrels if they have more staff and have more resources. So it's that kind of balancing game I speak to about.
Okay, let me come down to the IPMAN former Assistant Secretary here. This restructuring, you said your business is not whatever they want to do, all you're interested in is the product. Now, there are several depots in the country owned by the NNPC, and that's where you're supposed to be getting your products from. If this restructuring is supposed to make efficiency, to make the system more efficient, would it affect the depots? Because I do understand that's one of the complaints that IPMAN has had, and that's why you believe the scarcity has been recurring.
Is it the restructuring or unbundling? If it is, you see, I'm skeptical about the whole process because these things had been done several times in the past. But you see,
Are you serious?
As marketers and station owners, if this one they are trying to do now will bring more efficiency and improvement to all these depots, I mean, practically all these depots have been abandoned for more than 10, 15 years. Even the pipelines linking all these depots across the country. I'm not an engineer, but we have been told if you put anything under the ground, it has a lifespan. Most of them are supposed to have been changed. They had been abandoned. And if all